My phone off.
Hi, this is Dr. Kimberley Linert, and you're listening to Incredible Life Creator podcast. My guest today is Focus James from the Focus of Love. And Focus is a life coach, speaker, trainer, and author. And we have had her on the podcast before, and she's coming back. And we are going to talk about how to date during COVID. Welcome
Yeah.
to the podcast, Focus.
Oh, hi everyone. This is my one of my favorite subjects as a life and love coach and also business coach. I absolutely love. I love hearing the stories of how people met. So much so I've interviewed hundreds of people all around the country and other countries as well. Like how do they know? And is it chemistry? Do they know in the first moment? So this is about to get juicy.
All right. So excited about this interview, especially with Valentine's just around the corner. So, first of all, let's just start out with people who are dating and they're still looking for their one and only.
Right,
What
right.
is dating supposed to be? What really are we
Oh,
doing when we're dating?
I love that you said that. That is the first question when you're dating to ask someone. If you're on an app where you slide in somebody DM, that is definitely within those first couple of conversations. Hey, what's your definition of dating? You want to qualify that it matches yours. Not that you're trying to convert anybody. You just want to know that what their definition of dating is yours. I actually had an amazing celebration on my birthday, November the 8th, and it's also my anniversary of my company, my LLC, and I had about 35 people, and we had some great conversations about relationship. It was my family, my friends, and some of my clients. And I love to use card games. So card games from like your love gurus, right? And one of it was, what is your definition of dating? And we had 20 some year olds and we had 60 some year old people in this Zoom. So you can imagine the gamut of what the definition of dating was. So it's really important to say to the person and allow their truth to be their truth, because you when you're trying to fit a square peg in a circle, you're just going to frustrate yourself. So asking them, what is dating to you, and then know what your dating is, and you might even be open to their new definition or add or let it move and change as you need it. So in general, for the older school, you date to be married. You and right now it's called dating on purpose. So that's the new genre for dating. And you're dating to be married, or you're dating to have a partnership like your old, like your Oprah and your Stedman, right? So it's still, mono, but it might not have the actual walking down the aisle for whatever the beliefs is around that. So that's one type of dating. And then you have your young people's dating is Netflix and chill. So they have no intention of you being necessarily boyfriend or girlfriend. We're looking for companionship, some deep, some intimacy without, strings being tied. It's tied to it. It's COVID. They don't want to be lonely. So that's a big, definition. So you really want to help that person chisel down what they're looking for themselves, whether it's about with you or not. Mm-hmm.
Wow. So yeah, actually, I was on a group call on Clubhouse, which is this new social app,
Yes. Oh, I love
and
it.
I was in there, and they were talking about dating, and Clubhouse is something where someone can come on stage, as they call it, and they can ask
Yep.
a question. And so
Yes.
this woman comes up and she said, I was in a long-term relationship for quite a while, and it broke up. And she said, now I'm out dating, and I'm feeling a lot of pressure because I don't really want anyone to touch me or be affectionate or anything or push me or pressure me at all. I mean, she wasn't even talking about going into the sexual realm. She was just talking about she didn't want them to treat her like a girlfriend when she doesn't know them. She said, I don't know them. I don't feel comfortable. You
Okay.
know, I need that. I need to be able to just get to know them and feel
Sure.
safe before someone starts putting their hand around me or even holding my hand or anything. And she was
Sure.
asking advice on that. So,
Yeah.
what is your advice if someone is in that situation?
That's a great question. Well, one, I'm actually on Clubhouse as well. I just got my personal club. Ah, so I'm so excited about that. It's called Everything Relationship, where we talk about dating, sex, money, love. So definitely join us every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'd love to have you there. And that's exactly what we do. We allow people to come up on stage per the topic. And then they could ask questions. So actually Monday it was leaders need love too, how to get your love bucket filled. Because as you mentioned, Clubhouse is 98% business owners. It's on there right now. So it's like, how do I still get the love I want, even though I'm busy and I'm moving and shaking, right? So that's really, paramount. To her point, so a couple things is one, you want to go where that type of person is. So for instance, I just helped a young lady 20 years to a tumultuous divorce, right? And she ended up ending the relationship very abusive. It took us another 2 years to work through all of that, get her financially stable as her life coach. Then we shifted for me to be her business coach because she then wanted to do what I do, which is a life coach, right? So huge transformation in this last 2.5 years for this young lady. Then she finally got up the gumption that she wants to start dating, right? Which was a big deal coming from where she's coming from. So I shared with her, you can't go on regular apps. You can't go on your regular Facebook app. You can't go on your regular POF app. That's not where you live. Because one, she wants to not have engagement until she's married. She doesn't want to have intimacy. She will get chewed up on Facebook or a dating site as well as POF. They're not of that mindset. So you want to go where the people are of that mindset. So like christianmingle.com. And I'm not getting any affiliate money from shouting these people out either. Now, Facebook is great for those who want to be intimate or a hookup or a deep relationship or willing to have sex before marriage. So Facebook dating site. So is POF. So you want to read the paragraph about that dating app so you know the kind of people are on there. So it's expected on a Christian dating app or maybe a Jewish dating app, something that has some kind of religious practice or moral belief that it should take some time before you do that. So you don't set yourself up for frustration because it's the expectation based off of the app that you're needing, that you're on, I should say. But also I'm curious, I would want to ask her a few more questions that, why is that? Because just in passing, you can hug or shake somebody's hand. Co-worker you haven't seen, an auntie or grandparent. So I'm wondering, I would like to work with her personally, like where is that coming from, to make sure that she's okay and it's not coming from any past hurts. But there's absolutely people who are not touchy-feely. That is so okay in your prerogative. Just put yourself up in a place where that's welcomed and not shamed or made to be feel, bad, if you will.
Exactly. And I have maybe a little bit of insight on
Okay.
that. So a few years ago, I was engaged to be married, and a few weeks before wedding, my fiance died.
Oh,
And it took me a
wow.
really long time to actually start dating again because I still
Sure.
felt married, even though we hadn't officially got married. I still
Yes,
felt so attached to him. And the first time I
yes,
went on a date, I went with someone who was so sweet, so kind.
yes.
And we went to a coffee shop, and I
Mhm.
said, I don't know what to say. He said, okay, let's go to a movie. I'm like, okay. So we go in the movie, and we go in the movie, and he just puts his arm around me, and I'm just like, my heart is racing because I'm feeling like
Yeah,
I'm cheating, even
of
though
course.
there's
Of
no one there to cheat on. I feel
course.
like I'm still in that old relationship.
I totally get
So,
that.
and
Mhm.
so I was feeling like anxious a little bit, and this
Sure.
person was sweet as could be.
Yeah,
But I just couldn't help the feelings I was having.
sure.
So, what if we're kind of still attached and we need to unattach to move on?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I frankly believe you can love more than one person at a time. Right? And I'll use a great example. Children. If you have more than one child, you can't, it's not like you can only love the first child, right? So you can definitely love more than one person at a time as well. That's why we have polyamory, right? That's why we have swinging. We have different types of dating styles, partnerships. So you can definitely love more than one person at a time. What we're looking for is the designated, design of what that looks like for my personal and individual life, right? So how does that work? Because that you dating, you getting married eventually still doesn't mean you don't love the person that you were engaged with that passed away. You can absolutely, our hearts and our bodies, our minds are big enough to actually love more than one person at a time. How do we know? We have two parents.
Mhm.
Right? So we don't just have one, we have two parents, we have grandparents, right? We have boss that we love and adore and do overtime for them at a drop of a hat. Sometimes leave the dinner table at home to please the boss because you're so close and you got a great relationship with them. They make you feel empowered, right? So
Mhm.
those types are all of those types of relationships are ways of getting our love bucket filled. So you don't have to give up loving your fiance who passed to be able to get hugged in a movie, right? What the shift would need to happen is that, isn't the case, and you love him, and inside of loving him, you're still going to choose to be loved, right? You
I
still
love that. I love that. Now that we're talking about love and Valentine's Day.
exactly. So you're still being loyal to him if you even want to look at that, because you know he would want you to be loved. He would want you to be able to get embraced, and he will want that for you. Is that fair to say, Kimberly?
Yeah, yeah, it really is.
So
So
give him that gift of fulfilling that, in your life. For those, I mean, we just went through COVID. A lot of people lost their loved ones. So where do you place that when your husband just passed away, your wife, your girlfriend, you're engaged? So I'm so glad you brought that up, because that's a real thing right now for people. How could they ever move on? They have a small child, or their family and friends are still looking at them as an in-law because it all just happened so fast. So this is a real thing. And I definitely support people in that. So you all can definitely go to focusjames.com. I have a discovery call. It's free, 30 minutes, see if we can work together. So if you're hearing this and you're like, oh my God, Kimberly, you just, said how I felt, we can definitely work through that, so that you can get the love you want and have a life you love.
beautiful. And just kind of on that same note, let's say
Okay.
someone has been out of the dating pool for a while, okay, for whatever
Yeah.
reason,
Sure.
and they've been out of it and now they want to get back into it. How do they get themselves ready and be willing to actually accept or be loved?
Ooh, that's a juicy one, to accept and be loved. Well, one, to get into it, you really want to have a conversation with yourself of, what season am I in? Am I really in the season where I'm healed and I've done whatever work I need to do? Whether I lost a spouse, a job, COVID has me isolated, right? My children, how healthy the relationships are with my children. Who am I in the world of relationships? Because when you can be honest with yourself, then you'll be able to be honest with the person you're sitting across from when you do start dating. And you could say, I am looking for marriage, or I am looking for companionship. I'm just looking to go out to a theater, a good movie, some dinner, some good sex, and see you later, right? You want to really crystallize for yourself so you're not confused and being led by people that's across the table, from you based off of what they want. And then that's why we'll feel like we're getting beat up, right? I'm starting to live for other people. So that's the first thing. Be honest with yourself. What season am I in? Be truthful with yourself and what you actually really want, right? And that's really important. Now, the how to, yeah, if you've been out of it for a while, the how to, here's the good news. Here's the good news. Dating online is up 82% right now. 82%, which is a huge number because more people are working from home. So that hour and a half, that's the average American's commute time, is gone. Right. So they now have 90 minutes in their life to and fro that they would have normally used to drive to be on a dating site or to be on social media or to try to seek out another way to fulfill that loneliness. So you have access to more quality people and more people in general to get, attached to. Now, also that number is even higher because that's just the dating sites. But all of your social media outlets now are being way more heavily used than before because we are in COVID. So this is a great time to actually jump on in there and start, kind of dating, flirting, and kind of feeling your way. Mhm.
Mhm. So when we look at dating, is it really a short game or a long game? Like, you know,
Oh.
how do we approach it?
I love that question. So some people, for the lack of a better word, they might call it, this is their season to not be responsible, where they could just have intimacy with anybody and no strings attached, right? And then you have some people, that's the short game. The short game is it's a season. Now, most people hear that word and they think of the cuffing season. The cuffing season is around December ish to about March. And that's when people hook up because of the winter months, no intention to marry a long term. They might live in the same apartment building. They're coworkers, or they're in the same community center or gym. And this is someone comfortable you can watch a movie with, have intimacy with, but there's no long-term expectations. Again, that's an adult conversation. Now, a lot of people get tripped up because normally one of the two people catch feelings, right? So it starts crossing the line. It sounds good in the beginning, but the more intimate time we spend with one another, and I'm not just talking about sex, I'm talking about meals together, discussing what happened on the Capitol, politics, things that really cause soul ties, playing games with each other, going to each other's family events. These begin to create soul ties. So it's not as easy as we're only going to be whatever that is, right? It starts crossing over. So that's the short term. It can be fun. It can be a nice spurts. You just want to be careful because normally somebody's going to pick up feeling and is going to need some time to kind of wean off of one another. The long term is, when you're dating with purpose, you are looking for a partner or marriage. And it's really important to crystallize that with the people you're dating. So nobody's set up for a major disappointment, and let them know from the door, here's where I stand. Mm-hmm.
Right. So just clarity of communication right from the beginning.
From the beginning. And when I say the beginning, I'm not talking necessarily date one, right? You're like, well, here's what I need, right?
You scare everyone away, right?
Scare everybody away. I love these card games that all of these gurus have created. One is called Mentally Stimulate Me by Derek Jacks. Again, I don't get an affiliate from it. I just love this card game. And I have one of them right here. And we just played this. I'm a speaker as well, right? So this young lady just hired me to speak in her birthday party in March. It's about a 3-hour event. I'm going to talk about love and relationship. And the way I'm going to do it, I'm going to go in and out of it, but I'm going to play about 5 rounds of this game. You pull out a card and there's a question on there that really helps you to kind of manifest where you are. And it's fun though. It's really fun. So I recommend, we're in COVID, you're going to date online. You can do Zoom, FaceTime, Duo, any of those tools. And I highly recommend it before you go see the person in public, because right now you could literally get really sick, dating people face to face. So why not set up your first Zoom date for 30 minutes, like you would do coffee, right? And then that way you can see if you got the chemistry, you got the vibe, whether it's the short game or the long game, and you're not jeopardizing your health to meet someone you barely know, right? Is in my opinion. And I have this great game. Let's play a few rounds, and this would be fun way to get to know each other without feeling like we're interviewing or grilling each other, right?
Yeah, that sounds a lot more fun. And speaking of that, talking about those apps, I kind of don't like the apps so well because sometimes there's fake people on there, but sometimes there's people with like a hidden agenda. And I'm coming out being straightforward, honest, okay, this is who I am or whatever, but they have something hidden, and you usually find out what it is pretty soon, but sometimes you wish you would have figured it out earlier so that you wouldn't have wasted your time.
Sure. But let's talk about that. You can meet that person at Walmart, right? Because that person that has a scheme, a theme, an agenda is everywhere, whether it's online, Walmart, your job, a friend introduced you to them, right? So I can rule out online dating for that, because those people are everywhere, right? So you know how they say, it said you got to kiss the frogs to get to the prince or the princess. That's wherever you choose to date at. So make no mistake about it. Whether you're in the mosque, you're in the church, there are frogs there too, right? What you want to have is a clear radar about what you want to see if it matches. And people can be very deceptive. I totally get that. And just know the evolution of time will bring it to pass. And I just want to back up, and I honor what you mean about wasting your time. I totally get that. What I share with my clients is you want to look at it as a time well spent, because now that you know what you know, you can make a new choice. You could have rushed it along and try to make it be what you think it's going to be. But I want to praise them, and I give them accolades for allowing themselves to allow the evolution of it so you can find out. Because too many people are getting hooked up, dating to, giving each other titles and getting engaged and even married way sooner than they needed to, for the sake of wasting time. It's not a waste of time when you're learning to dance with someone that you're specifically thinking about spending the next 30 years of your life with them. Take your time, whether 3 months or 9 months. you can look back at it and realize what you actually learned about yourself, maybe some vulnerabilities that you act like wasn't there, but it was really there because you were in the fantasy. That's a gift. That's a gift. So you know not to do it next time. So in my opinion, it's not a waste of time. It's only a waste of time in this essence, Kimberly, when you now know and you then continue. Then now we're not even talking about waste of time. We're talking about why are you participating and being in this abusive, victimizing, manipulative. Now we need to shift where I might actually suggest we bring in a therapist so you can continue with me as a life coach. But they also need to unpack that. Now, as a life coach, I'm going to unpack the past. You just can't help it. It's going to come up when people are talking about love, relationship, dealing with their life. So I definitely do that. But most of my clients, I ask them to get a therapist as well, or they already have one and they come in with it. And the duality of life coaching and therapy has their life lit up because they're dealing with all the past junk with the therapist. And then we're living on purpose right now and into the future as their life coach. So it's a really powerful, combination. So yeah, people are going to have different agendas, whether it's church, online, or Walmart, right? So take the time to listen twice as much as you actually talk. Because most people go in with a laundry list of questions. People pick that up very quickly and start answering them based off of what they think you want them to answer versus what the actual answer is. That's why I love the game, because it's not about me or you. It's about answering the question, the third party question. So be as ranked, I can be as solid and kind of truthful as much as I want to, because I'm kind of hiding behind I'm answering the question. And you hear a lot of people honesty come out far more than if you ask them a direct question.
Yeah. And talking about, someone who's wanting long term, do we actually have soulmates or soulmates? Because, we were talking earlier, said, well, that I could have, I could love this person and this person, and, I could love all of them. So do we have a soulmate or more than one soulmate?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I know that's a buzzword around in the dating and love area, soulmates. Well, the first challenge I give to my clients, who are you to become to be a soulmate to a soulmate? Right? Who do you need to become to actually be a soulmate? Because I think in the evolution of that also heightens your frequency to draw the many potential soulmates you may actually be able to connect with, right? So the long and short is yes, I believe they're soulmates, and I believe it's with a S. So that might cause somebody to have anxiety, like, wait a minute, you mean I can make the wrong choice on this soulmate and I could have had this soulmate? Well, because like you said, Kimberly, your fiance who you perceived was your soulmate, you were ready to long term, and then he transitioned. So who's to say you don't have someone else out there in the world that also can fulfill you just as much, right? That's why I believe it's multiple, because it could be timing. And I've met people who had a 30-year marriage, the spouse passed away, a year later they're married and just as in love. And it's like, how is that possible? Most people don't even get to fall in love once and this person twice, right? So yes, it's absolutely soulmates. And my goal with my clients is to focus on you becoming a soulmate to a soulmate versus the laundry list of what they have to have. Because you best believe a soulmate got a list too. So are you going to fit their list is the question.
And I was thinking, we're talking about dating, but I'm thinking about, so many times during dating is so exciting, right? 'Cause it's all new, it's exciting. And even early in marriage, it can be pretty exciting. But one of the things I've noticed in some of my relationships is that as the dating continues, that romantic piece goes away, or sometimes that affection piece goes away. So I know I'm not the only woman that says, hey, I need more affection. How come it's, you know, just a conversation and then it's like, okay, I got to be over here performing. Where's that in between the romantic gestures, the affection, things that connect women to their man?
I love that question, and we're going to go at that like two different ways because for at one point my majority of my clients were men because they didn't feel like they can talk to their female. to really, and when I say talk, I mean really be able to express himself and still be a man in the morning,
Mhm.
right? Really be able to say, I don't want this raise in this promotion. I'm afraid. I don't know if I can do it. Am I good enough? And to really be able to have that conversation with this female and still be the man in the morning. So it goes right back to the same thing. Who do I need to become to get that affection and connection with my man? One, is it his religious belief or his grooming and his culture that really got nothing to do with you? So you want to tease that out, because then it's not problematic within the relationship. It's just the way this person's been groomed. And then you have to ask yourself, is he willing to tweak any of that for the sake of this relationship and getting my love bucket filled? And or am I willing to give that up because he does something else so well, right? So you want to ask yourself that too. But what I also hear you saying, how do I keep the spark alive? Is that
Right. Yeah, that's really the most important question. If you're
yeah,
in love with somebody, you don't really want, at least I know, I'm not one to give up.
yeah.
So I'm going to put everything I can in. And if it falls apart, it falls apart. But I'm going to go 100%.
I love that. And I wish that so many more people had that concept, which is to give 100%. And I'm going to say this and I'm coming right back. I'm still answering your question. When I was sitting with a potential client and we were talking, and I said, so, what happened? What fell apart? And she gave me this long laundry list of what was missing for her, right? I said, I got that. I can see how that could be frustrating, especially over time, right? And then I said, let me ask you a question. What does he need to be fulfilled in a relationship? And she stopped and she looked to the left, which is normally where we're trying to be creative and figure things out, right? So she looked to the left. And then she slowly came back and she said, I don't know. I said, well, you can't leave. You can't get a divorce yet. And she looked at me. I said, you haven't done enough work to divorce this man. You don't even yet. Right?
Yeah, I love that. And I think it's true. People, especially now, they just, if it's just uncomfortable, if they don't like it or whatever, I'm just out of here. It's like,
Yeah, yeah.
how can you ever create a relationship that way? And my parents have been together 50 years. When I talk to
Wow.
people who have been together 50 years or more,
Yeah,
they say
yeah.
it's not easy.
Correct.
And then there's rough times and you got to work through it. The
Yes,
biggest part is to be committed to loving
yes,
each other. And,
yes,
I think love starts out as an emotion, but then
yes.
it becomes a choice, a decision, a commitment.
Correct.
And once you commit to that person,
Yeah,
you might not like them all the time,
that's
but
right.
you are committed to love them. And by
Yeah,
doing that, you're going to do whatever it takes.
you got it. You got it. Beautifully put, Kimberly. And this is what I'm actually coaching a couple now. And the conversation is that most people are addicted to the emotion of love and romance and chemistry and the feeling of the butterflies and so forth. That lasts about a good 2 years before the gears shift. And then the gears shift to, who am I loving? Who am I making sure that they're okay and that they actually ate today and they're in good mental health and a good emotional health? That's a whole nother being to one another. Not butterflies and when we happy and everything is working, but to the actual well-being of this person. And what you're talking about is that when people have been married long term, they're committed to the commitment,
Mhm.
not to the sparks of flying and the good sex and when we're happy. They're committed to the commitment of being married, period, conversation over. And once you make up your mind that this is it, you can't be mad for the next 50 years, right?
Right.
You're going to figure out how to solve that problem, how to create harmony. Make sure her love bucket is filled up and he feels validated. You're going to dance the dance differently when you know this song ain't over. When the fat lady sings, she got to sing for the next 50 years, right? Or if she stops singing, the song's still not over. We still got to dance in silence and hum a tune. So when your mind is made up like that, you fight differently. You make love differently. You spend money differently. You choose where you're going to live together differently. You talk to your in-laws differently, right? When you know this is it. But so many people already, one couple said to me, well, we're going to give it a try. I said, well, let me tell you what's going to happen. And he's like, what, focus? I said, you're going to fail. And they looked at me, looked at her like, they're like, we paying you money to tell us that? Yes, you're going to give it a try, you can give it up now. You either are or you're not, baby Yoda, right? Yoda said, right? No, no try. You either do or not do. So if you go in a marriage or a serious relationship, talking about we're going to try, you've already failed because it's a mind made up to complete it till the completion is done. Now, I'm not talking about what I call the 3 A's, which is abuse, abandonment, and adultery. These are 3 reasons in my Christian belief. And you don't have to accept this, guys. If you're of a different religion, just let it flow over like water. Like you run into the car and a little shower came down and you'll be dried in a second, right? So you don't have to hold this to it. I'm not pushing it on anybody, right? But in my Christian belief, those are the 3 reasons why you qualify for, divorce if you did need to divorce. And it's in a certain combination and in a certain way that needs to happen, because you can absolutely get over adultery, both parties. Because the person that commits adultery is not always just the victimizer. A lot of times they're the victim too. Someone has shunned away, pushed that person away, and now they're going outside the home looking for validation and love. Doesn't mean it's okay. It's just you want to understand, how did this happen, to know if it's even reconcilable, right? Mm-hmm. And abuse, where is that coming from? Are they just getting off of the plane from doing a time in Afghanistan and they're part of the armed forces, right? Where is it coming from? Are they suffering from PTSD? Do they need some more support mentally, emotionally? So you want to look at, that as well. And then abandonment, someone leaving the home, can that be reconcilable? It depends on a lot of different things. So I've never really, Kimberly, when I'm talking to my clients or even doing these type of events, and thanks for having me to speak to your audience, I don't like to talk in absolutes, because there's so many variables to people's lives that the blanket statement, if he cheats, once a cheater, always a cheater. No, that's not the case. Because we've all done something that we're not proud of, and we learn the lesson and we make a different choice. So I want to just lay that foundation as well. So as you're looking for a Valentine, as you're looking to fall in love, all men ain't dogs, all men don't cheat, and it's so okay to get the help you need and work through your pain before you even tiptoe out there, because if you don't heal the hurt, you will repeat the pain. And you wonder if it's other people. Let me tell you, you can lose 50 pounds, dye your hair, and move cross country. There you are. You still take who you are wherever you go. So heal that hurt.
That's right. So with Valentine's coming up, let's say you're new in a relationship. So what should Valentine's, or let's say it's Christmas, or what should holidays look like? Because you're the new person, are you brought into the family? I mean, what should the gift be? What should the actions be? What do we do when we're new?
I love that. I love that question. And everything is still conversation. When you go, hey, how do you celebrate Valentine's? Is that something you actually celebrate, right? Non-threatening, non-judgmental, because again, you're teaching people how to treat you. And if you start being aggressive to people, you're teaching them to lie to you. You're teaching them to pretend and fall into the category you want them to, versus being the authentic self. So you ask an open-ended question that has no judgment, and let their answer be their answer. It's not your turn to convert them, ladies, gents, right? So if they say something like, I don't really celebrate Valentine's Day, I think you should love a person every day, of the year. Now you can counter and playfully go, well, that's a good day to love each other. So could we celebrate it by exchanging, And if they're open, great, but don't make them wrong. Same thing with Christmas, same thing with Jewish holidays. People are dating not only biracial, by religion, right? So you have different religions in the house, different pay rates in the house. All of these things matter on how people do celebrate different holidays, and you want to establish that. So you may need to find, if this is a good person, you're vibing with them, they don't believe in Valentine's or Christmas, get your love bucket filled up with family and friends, especially if they're a winner in so many other areas. Celebrating Valentine's Day is just not a reason why you shouldn't date somebody. That's just pretty ridiculous. Now I don't talk in absolutes, but that's pretty ridiculous, right? It's one day out of 365 days. We can deal without it, right? And you can also get your love bucket. Now we're only days away. So I definitely wouldn't pressure anybody for that. A sweet text message, which I'm so glad I met you. I look forward to what next year's Valentine's will be when we know each other better, right?
Oh, yeah, that's why I like that. I like that. That is great.
Kimberly, so that's a way of enrolling them, to let them know no hard feelings. I don't expect roses or car, right? But some women and men do, or they go, here's the thing I want to make sure we say, Kimberly. Those ladies and gents go, well, let me see what they're going to do. Let me see if he's mature enough, or he should know better, that I should have some roses at my job. All of those are expectations that will keep you empty when it comes to love. When you're demanding people, or you're testing them, no one wants to be in love with someone that's testing them. And I believe in testing people in the sense of seeing where their head is. But in the sense of something like Valentine's Day, he should know by now I want flowers. that that's a very yuck perspective of how to love one another, and I don't advocate with it, because what it does, it people will do for you, but with a sense of regret and resentment, right? And you want love to flow naturally, so let them know, honey, listen, last year I appreciate you giving me the blah blah blah, can I give you 3 suggestions of what I would like, and you can pick from it, especially if he's a bad gift giver, right, guys? He just doesn't get it, it's so okay. Go, here's 3 things I would love for you to give me. You get to pick. And if you want to give me all 3, it'd be a happy ending that night. I don't know. You play with it, have fun. But again, please don't make people wrong around these holidays, because they'll be here and gone before you know it. And you'll still be sitting there lonely with your demand of what they supposed to have done.
Exactly. And there's a lot more of the other days. There's only one Valentine's Day. There's a lot more of the other days. And one of my
Correct.
favorite things is I love flowers, especially roses and lilies. So I love
Oh,
them anytime.
yeah.
So, I always tell my honey, I would like to have flowers when I don't expect it. That's when I
Yes.
want flowers.
There you go.
Don't worry about Valentine's Day, because I maybe this is a little negative, but I say,
Okay.
they really get you guys on Valentine's Day, because two
Yeah.
weeks for Valentine's Day and a week after,
Yeah.
the prices go up 3 times. And
Oh,
I'm like,
yeah.
that is so unfair. That is so unfair. So I'm like,
I
just
agree.
get me flowers when I don't expect it, and I'll be very happy.
Oh, my goodness.
You
So
can skip
precious.
Valentine's Day, just, you know,
Yeah.
a month later, give me some flowers. I love
You
it.
got it. I love that graciousness you get, that it's marketed, it's commercialized. You just relieved him. You just was being gracious to him. Oh, girl, I know he loved you for that. He was like, thank you so much. Because it's a lot of pressure, especially when the women are at the job and they're getting flowers and candy. And that's that one woman, like, and she'll call her dude on her lunch break. Oh, I wish that was me. Right. And then, right,
Mhm.
all of the pressure, and just as much love happened Valentine's Day, there's a lot of heated fellowship, is what I call it, aka arguments, because people have these expectations, and it's not fulfilled. So just as much love is happening on Valentine's, there's also a lot of frustration and arguing and people bickering over this one commercialized day. Nothing religious about it. It's simply a way of celebrating, turns into this massacre of what, how much you love me or don't love me, right? It's insane. But it's also, in one way, it's a telltale sign of your partner's emotional stability. So if you're just dating, listen. You want to listen for the cues, because this is the only beginning. If y'all freshly dated and she's already making demands, just know this is going to be 10 times worse about a year from now. Just so you know.
That's a really good point. That is a really good point. I love that. And
Yeah.
the other thing I was just thinking, you're getting me thinking about all these things, but as much as I love flowers, the other thing that I just really love
Yes.
is just a little small card with a little note. It doesn't
Mm,
have to be a whole love letter,
right.
which I know when I was young, me and my now ex-husband, we'd write long letters to each other every day and mail them. There was no internet. We'd write long, oh, I love you, you know. But at this point in my life, everybody's busy. If you just got a little card, you get a
Yes.
pack of them, right? You get a pack in a box,
Exactly.
and just
Yep.
write one personal little note and put it in
Yes.
the mail to me. Oh
Yes.
man, that would just make my whole week, my whole month. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. I have a couple I work with, and what the husband did, actually got a box of the cards, and he wrote little notes and put it around the house. The
Oh,
It took her a year to find all of the notes. So can you imagine how often she just felt, she would move the mayonnaise, in the pantry, or go get an extra jar of something and it's there. So
oh,
great way to keep dripping little spots and little spurts of how to keep the spark alive in your relationship, right? When it's nothing wrong. And so I want to answer that too. When there's nothing wrong is when you want to ask how to treat somebody when there is something wrong. And you can go, hey, when we, eventually we're going to have a fight or an argument. When we do, how do I get on your good side? So this is a great time when your lady or gent is happy. That's when you ask that question so you know how to do that. And other thing I want to jump to, because my son said to me the other day, he said, Mom, what is this? Why is it the expectation that men don't get a gift on Valentine's? I'm not going to do, that's not fair to me. I want love too, right?
Yes. Yeah. I like to give gifts too. Yeah.
Yes. So for the gentlemen that are listening, it's so appropriate that you say, I like for us to exchange gifts. That is so on point to do that if you truly, because some people love languages is gift giving and receiving. So it is in play, and it's also a good telltale sign to see if the female, now this is the testing part. The testing part for me is making your communication very clear and giving alternatives, not testing someone to fail. But like you said, hey, listen, I don't have to have those, 3 times marked up flowers on Valentine's Day. Give it to me a month later. I'll be just as happy. So now what you're looking for is, did he do either one? And then if they're ignoring that and you don't get flowers for 6 months, okay, now that's a conversation. We're way before 6 months. But that's the testing you do when you give someone a way that allows you to get your love bucket filled. And the test is, will they fulfill it? Will they even go after it or attempt to do it or clarify? Well, I thought you said this, but is this it? That's how you want to test someone, not for them by osmosis to know that you like lilies. I mean, you know how many flowers it is in the world, right? So let them know and give them an opportunity to love on them. So ladies, absolutely your men want a gift. Even if they tell you they don't, normally they don't want a gift because they're afraid that because you give them something, now you want them to give them, you want to receive 10 times more. They're like, no, don't you give me anything. I'm all right. Because he's afraid, oh, now I'm going to be in the hole for 3 more gifts if she gives me something, right? So you don't want to play that game. Allow your love to freely flow.
Mm-hmm. So my next question, it might be kind of a double question.
Okay.
So the first part of it is, how do we do dating in midlife? And when I think of midlife people, which I be part of one that,
okay.
A lot of us have been very successful in our careers. And, not only are we busy, but we, as much as I'm sure there's a lot of really nice people out there who aren't doing the same thing I'm doing, but they don't understand business. They don't understand my ambition. They don't understand why I have the goals and why I want to impact the world. They just can go home and go to work and watch TV and go to bed. And it's like, okay, so how do people in midlife, especially career people or people with their own businesses or corporations or whatever in that area, how do we date?
Yeah, that's a great question. So you really want to ask, what is it that you need? So because you're the ambitious one, do you really need someone just as ambitious? Because who's cooking? Who's taking the trash out? Who's watching the bank accounts? Right. So you want to ask yourself, do I personally need someone just as ambitious? And only you can really answer that question. But I will say to your older woman said to me many moons ago when I had said the same thing, I was like, I need somebody bringing it just as me, making 6 figures, that. She said, well, who's watching the house? Who's taking care of the maintenance of the house and the children if you both are out and about? Who's making sure the savings stay intact if you both are constantly investing? So she said, focus, I don't think you really need someone just as ambitious as you. You need someone that's more domesticated to hold the home down. And I thought that was a really great advice, given she knew me personally, right? She's no, because I mean, the trash is going to pile up. Who's washing the dishes? Or even if he doesn't do any of that, to make sure it's done by a maid service or, and I thought that was a really good gift she gave me, because also I can work a good 14 hours in a day. So I need a spouse that goes every 3rd weekend, we're going away, we're going to have a long weekend, or movie night is Thursday, date night is Monday, because you have less clients. I need someone to help me regulate that and right now I'm currently single. So that's who I look for. I don't necessarily want someone that's on social media heavy like I am and really, really out there building a business. When she told me that really gave me a gift. So whether you're in midlife or younger, you want to look at what kind of dance would actually balance me. Do I need more of myself? Probably not. Whatever that is. So you might be the 9 to 5er, right? And you think you want another 9 to 5, but a lot of the gentlemen I've dated actually kind of vicariously live through me. They don't have the oomph to do it. They don't have the ambition or the desire, but they cheer me on and they're in awe, which I love being in awe, right? So
Yeah.
to me, I look over, I'm speaking to a crowd of 300. I see him in the back and he's shaking his head with pride. That fills me up.
Mhm.
He's not gonna speak. I better not give him that microphone. He'll be like, "Nah, I told." We'll get in the car and go like, "Nah, I told you I don't want to speak." Right, and that's also learning the boundary of your significant other. Where do they belong in your life? So trying to force him because I want to have a relationship that's on social media. I gotta ask myself, if I meet a great guy and he's a no, is that a deal breaker for me? Heck no, not on this side, Kimberly, of my age. Before I would have been like, yeah, we're gonna have a wedding that's gonna be on Facebook and people gotta buy tickets, blah, 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 blah. And then I realized, my deep, intimate parts when no one's around, if he wants to keep those intimate and sacred, I need to honor that because all I'm gonna get out of it is way more than this 30-minute video on Facebook, right? People to gawk at, for whatever their reasons is and whatever my reason is to want to show that. So the real question is, again, who do I need to become to be a soulmate, right? And that whole dance of attracting someone that now here's if you're taking notes, anybody, you want to take this note. Most people plan a year, 2 years for the party. And what party am I talking about, Kimberly?
A wedding or
The wedding, right? And you know who's sitting next to who, what fork is where, the napkin, where every corner of the room has a balloon or a flower. I mean, some serious details. Is the chair 6 inches away? Now you really got to have those details 6 feet away. How many people got to be in? But how many people really prepare for the marriage, right? The spending time, how you're going to design your life. And that's getting to know yourself of what is it that I actually need besides this party, right? What do I need that we can dance that dance, especially in midlife, right? Because here's the struggle in midlife. We go, well, I know myself and I'm not going to settle, right?
yes.
So I got to nudge a little bit. Are we talking about not settling or you don't want to change and grow in some areas? That's different. That's different than not
That is true because both people are usually very set in their ways, and
correct.
there's going to be some compromise. There's got to be some compromise because
Exactly.
we've been around too long.
You got it. You got it. So not settling to me is someone says I'm not going to date someone that smokes, or I'm not going to be with someone that's obese because I'm in my midlife. I'm not trying to bury my husband. Something like that, right? Someone that's not fiscally not sound. They're not even interested in learning about how to regulate their credit score or save. Because again, I'm in midlife. So if you get sick, I'm taking care of you. That our business is not in order. Those are real reasons to have a deal breaker, right? Because I'm going to be left with that burden, right? But who's sleeping on what side of the bed? I don't know about that, Kimberly. I don't know about that, right? I gotta have my oatmeal every morning at 8 o'clock. Yeah, I don't know about that. Those are preferences and things you could talk out and work out. I say what I need to say, and he got to deal with it. Nah, I'm sorry. That is not setting your ways. That you don't want to grow up and be responsible. That your words matter and how it lands on the other side, it matters, right? So I keep hearing people interchangeably use that I'm not going to settle for code word, which is I'm stuck in my ways. I'm not looking to grow, take me or leave me. And most of them are being left, right? Because people have choices now and they don't have to take your shenanigans like your mama and daddy did and like your first husband did, because they're grown up enough now to know they don't need to be stuck with that, right? So I just want to put that out there too for those that keep using that to not grow up and change and grow and evolve into a person that will be a soulmate to somebody else.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
You're
So
welcome.
I just have one last question.
Sure.
Let's say you're single.
Mhm.
It's Valentine's, it's February, it's the month of love, but
Yes,
you don't have a partner and there's not one in sight. How do
yes.
you take care of yourself? How do you
Oh, I
make your
love it.
love yourself and make yourself feel good?
I love that. So the very list that if you had a gentleman to choose from, do it for yourself. So if you had a list, remember I said earlier, guys, give your gentleman or your lady, here's 3 things you can pick from to give me Valentine's, and I would love it. Do it yourself. So if your list is flowers or lilies, do it yourself. I would recommend the next day because I'm with you with the markup prices, right? Now, now, I've been single a couple of Valentines, and I literally go to the Rite Aid, CVS, and all those stores the day after, and absolutely about a week after, because things are 75% off, and buy those things that I would have had, a date give me, right? So that's one thing. Also, one year I took myself to a hotel, bubble bath, ate in, ordered food, right? And then of course I definitely do my girls thing. So we have a happy hour on Friday that we're going to do, right? Zoom, right on Zoom, cacking and laughing and talking, playing games. So here's the thing, you're so much more attractive when you're fulfilled without that spouse. If you're in the woe is me, you send that energy in out to you, and you get the negative people that have ill intentions, right? So knowing how to have your own emotional love bucket filled, it matters. Because when your love bucket is filled and someone adds to that, it's just the icing on the top. And then when your parent or somebody at work adds to that, it's a little whipped cream, right? And then when your children add to that, it's simply a cherry on top. Because see, you're already filled up. And so even though it's Valentine's Day and you don't have a significant other, how would you love on yourself? It matters because it's setting you up for that gentleman or that female to come in your life and love on. How juicy would it be? I'm gonna end it this way. How juicy would it be that you meet a gentleman or a lady about a week or two later and they go, well, how did you celebrate Valentine's? And you go, oh, let me tell you, I did this, that, and the other. And they're like, wow. Wouldn't you be impressed, Kimberly?
I would. I would.
And they did, they bought themselves flowers or sent themselves some, chocolate covered strawberries. You are already planting a seed for that person listening to know, one, you celebrate Valentine's. One, this is how you expect to love. And step up your game, brother, because I'm already loving myself, right? Or sister. So it's a beautiful way for me. I'm single, but I'm part of a Facebook page, and we thought of a way to do swapping out on a gentleman. So it's an all women's way a Facebook page. We all had to nominate gentlemen that we haven't had relationship with or children with that are solid males, and we're swapping dates. And mine happened to be on Valentine's at 7:30. He's in Chicago, and we're going to do a Zoom date. So here's the thing. Worst thing to happen is we'll have a good story for the life of our relationship of how we met, right? Period. So it can like never go anywhere else. But that's a juicy, foundation. And then also a friendship, a possible, a lover and a business partner. So allow yourself to be open to allow love come in different, different ways, but definitely love on yourself. If you need to cry a few tears because you said, get the girlfriend and go, girl, I'm feeling some kind of way that it's Valentine's. It's the third Valentine. Allow yourself to metabolize it, process it, and then still do something special for yourself.
All right. Well, thank you. So,
Yeah.
do you want to just tell people like how they can connect with you in case they have
Yes.
more questions, and or they like to? Are you still doing that where you consult with someone for the
I
first
am.
time?
I am. So I love love. I love helping people heal. So I actually donate to each person that are interested in working with me, and you want to kick the tires, or you simply like, hey, focus, I want to have a quick chat and see if we can work together. It's a 30-minute discovery call. So you can go onto my website, focusjames.com. So focus spelled regular, James like James Bond or James Brown, .com, all one word, and you click on schedule and you'll see where it says discovery call. It's a free 30 minutes. And I would love to spend that time with you, cause a breakthrough, an aha moment, or just connect and see if we could work together well. I do have a few slots open. I just started a business class. We're in the fifth week. We're rolling out the next business class. So I literally have 12 speaking engagements this month. But I love the one-on-one. It's juicy with the one-on-one because I really know I'm making an impact versus this kind of platform. So listen, if you're hearing me and you go, well, focus, I don't necessarily want the 30 minutes, but I do want to let you know what made a difference. Go ahead and email me. You can email me at focus@focusjames.com and go focus and made a difference for me. And I'll actually give you my ebook. The name of my book is called What is the Focus of Love? I wrote this in 90 days coming out of a course that actually Kimberly and I met. D.S. Brown said, you guys need to write a book or make some kind of video or tape. People need to take you home. And I took that challenge literally and wrote this book called What is the Focus of Love? Having clarity, living your purpose, creating the love you want, and having the life you love. And I will send this to you via email, no cost. When you do get my book, it does come with a 30-minute slot. So if you decide then after reading the book, yep, let's connect. I would love to do that. I'm also on Clubhouse, everything relationship. You can pop in our room every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm on Facebook, Focus James. I'm on Instagram, The Focus of Love, and YouTube. I'm on as The Focus of Love. So we'd love to hear from you. Definitely let me know you met me here on Kimberley Podcast, and I'll take excellent care of you.
All right. Thank you so much. And just so people know, I'm the host of Incredible Life Creator, this podcast, and I've been doing this for over about a year and a half now. I've recorded over 200 episodes, and I have a course on podcasting. And I did have an 8-week course, which is going, but people said, I don't want it to take so long. So now I've changed it so that it's 2 weekends. It's very intense, but within 2 weekends, you're going to be up and rolling. So if anybody's interested in podcasting, please just contact me on social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. I'm on all of them under Kimberley Linert. So yeah, so anybody that wants to get their voice heard, get more clients, have more influence, because I have met some of the coolest people. Of course, Focus and I met in Chicago with Les Brown and James Dentley's event. But you know, now with COVID, a podcast is a great way to meet somebody. I just interviewed someone from Panama. You know, I interviewed people from all over the world. So it is a great way to have influence, global influence. So if you're interested, please contact me. So Focus, thank you so much for this. We will have a part 2.
Yes. Oh, let's do it.
Very excited for that.
Yes, we're gonna, and I think we named that part 2. It's called what is it called? Oh, About Last Night. About Last Night. So times now what?
So stay tuned for that one.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Focus. And
bye everyone.
Talk to you really soon.